Jonathan Winters, CMO at Snowprint Studios, here joining me at Games from London. So fantastic to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to ask you some questions related to your exciting role. So we've seen Snowprint Studios sort of grow steadily within the last few years. Mm-hmm. What's been your biggest challenge that you've faced since stepping into the role as CMO? What are some things that you're kind of navigating?
Yeah, it's a good question now because I think mobile marketing in general has a lot of new developments happening all the time, right? New trends. And one challenge is to definitely keep up with those constant changes that are happening in the landscape. What's really interesting about what we do at Snowprint Studios and working with Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus, it's a game that is obviously using that very famous license, that IP that Warhammer is a established...
Massive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Established hobby, and you want to be very respectful towards that IP. So a challenge, it's not necessarily a challenge, but more of a mission for us to make marketing perform in a way that it definitely uses the kind of the data-driven approach we know from user acquisition, but also includes the importance of narrative and branding that comes with a Warhammer IP. So for me, stepping into that role and being able to work on such an exciting title and working with so many talented people who get really into the Warhammer sphere means really how can we make sure that our user acquisition campaigns are really including the whole narrative of Warhammer and really engages with the core audience that the Warhammer hobby has, the tabletop hobby has, but also goes beyond it because I think we know that with rising costs on the marketing in general, for example, creative is a huge part of navigating the tricky parts of high conversion cost. So being able to reduce the conversion cost through creative concepts that in some ways are, even going away from gameplay, etc., or maybe use some tricks that it's not really workable for a game like Tacticus, where we want to be authentic. We want to stay true to what Warhammer fans like, but also invite those non-Warhammer fans into that same realm.
Right, that's an interesting balance to strike.
Exactly.
Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus has seen some serious success over the last few years. You mentioned it's a huge game. So what are some key marketing insights you can share with us that you've taken away from not really launching this game, but sort of sustaining its success?
So I think from what I mentioned earlier that the importance is the balancing act between very much a data-driven environment for user acquisition, but also that brand angle, making very good use of what people like about an IP such as Warhammer, and really sticking to it and be, like I said, respectful towards it, was generating exactly that kind of seal of approval you want from your core audience. And as a result, you develop sort of a community around your game, especially when you work in a mid-core or hardcore environment, role-playing games that go for longevity. Like we want to have a full experience, not just the game itself, but people talking about the game, even engaging outside of the game. So what we found was always a successful angle for growing the game was to just go beyond just user acquisition or even retargeting, but also in develop a whole space around it where people can discuss, for example, on the community side, social media, and we embrace also things like including a strong angle with influencer marketing, so content creators, where we have an ambassador program who advocate for our game in front of the community. So this kind of organic expansion, let's say, that comes from obviously a lot of paid marketing that you do to trigger those conversations, to actually get the word out there. Those you need to facilitate, and not just with user acquisition, but with other means to do it. And another insight is it's very much true that player first angle, so always listening to the feedback of what players have to say about your game, has been very beneficial also for our marketing efforts.
Nice. So I want to move on to a little bit about investments. So when you decide upon like sort of allocating those investments, how do you decide which channels, which campaigns, should be allocated that investment? What's your thought process around that?
So I think that the general approach that most professionals in mobile marketing should have or will have is to look at channels that really meet their requirements from a data perspective. So are those channels meeting the criteria when it comes to return on ad spend? So cost and revenue balance is correct. But also it really fulfills two essential characteristics. Is it scalable and is it profitable, right? And we, as a community of mobile marketers, we do listen to trends or what channels are coming up in discussions, like word of mouth is a big part of it, and what new trends we're seeing with new updates coming to the way campaigns can be managed. So if you take all of this together, the new developments on channels, what is up and trending, and seeing sort of your numbers coming from those channels, you then learn more about which channels are the most appropriate for your game.
Right.
So it's not to say that each game has the same portfolio of channels, but for example, we also need to ask ourselves the question, if we already know what type of user we have when we work with a Warhammer title, right? We have a clear understanding of what kind of target audience we have. Where can we find those people in the wider digital space, right? So a good example I can disclose is Reddit is a huge social network that is very much popular also among niche hobbies or gaming communities. And we find that there's a lot of people who engage with Warhammer, with the topic of Warhammer 40,000, and working with this as a channel has been surprisingly working for us, but it could not be something that works for others, just because our target audience is there.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me into my last question. So in an increasingly D2C-driven landscape, we can't ignore it at this point for us in the mobile gaming space. What has been the most effective way that you've found in building those relationships directly with players? I think you mentioned Reddit and those, those sort of social networks, but can you add to that? Or is there any other ways that have been particularly effective for you guys in building that sort of direct-to-consumer relationship?
For us, I think what I think is the most valuable in that direction is for sure the community management. We have a great team of people who are dedicated to our own Discord server. So for Tacticus, we have a Discord server that now has almost 70,000 people being members of that server. And it's a great forum for us, obviously, as a developer, to speak directly to the players, and it's also a great way for players to come back to us with whether it's feedback, ideas, right? And we use that platform to have events like, we would have fun events, competitions, and giveaways. We definitely want to see also those people who then play our game to create their own content. And I think that community management part there has a huge impact on long-term relationship, how people feel about us as a developer, and how they feel obviously about the game.
Fantastic. I mean, what a fun game to be working on, right? With such a strong community and fan base. It's fantastic to see what you guys are doing.
Yes, obviously for us, it's amazing to see how well perceived their game is. Like what I mentioned, that to see that this community who loves Warhammer
so much. Yeah.
to kind of come to us and say, we really like your game. That's a huge honor, and we really respect that. And that's what we always thriving for, that we really give the best experience and expand on that. Because at the end of the day, it is a game we want to make also work for people who maybe are not necessarily just Warhammer fans, but are adjacent to it. They like turn-based tactical games. They like fantasy in general. So we're not exclusive to just the target audience, but we want to invite more and more people to that genre and obviously to our game.
Fantastic stuff, Jonathan. Thank you so much for your time. We can't wait to see what Snowprint Studios does next.
Thank you so much.